Abba Father, you're welcome, beloved, to our continuation in Psalm 23. We have been having a serious discussion, talking about a lot of things here in Psalm 23. And let us start by reading from verse 1. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. And today we are starting on verse 5. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. So I want to speak today about this table that he prepares before us in the presence of our enemies. When you read verse 4, which we spoke about earlier, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. When you read in verse 4, there's an idea there. There's something that David communicates that unfortunately we tend to not realize, and it is continued in verse 5. And it's an idea attached to this word shadow. When he says that you prepare, when he says that though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, there's that word shadow and the idea that he communicates there. And if you follow it up here, one of the meanings that you can glean from that is this idea or this concept of coming under the shadow. And that if you see that as that line of thought, and you follow it through to verse 5, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies, and you anoint my head with oil, my cup runs over. By the way, in the Hebrew, that doesn't say my cup runs over, but that's we shall cover that later. But when you see this idea, there's the idea that David is communicating here of coming under the shadow. And if you look at the life of a sheep and the shepherd, then you realize that what David is talking about is actually, one of the ideas he's talking about is actually what happens between a shepherd and sheep, which is the sheep being under the shadow of their shepherd. And in other words, it's like David is saying that even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And it says, because you are with me and because I am under your shadow. And there's a communication there of being under the shadow of Yahweh, of being under the shadow of our shepherd. And what that means, I'm going to bring it later as we keep discussing. You will see it making a lot of sense here. When it says you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. And of course, we've always rushed to interpret this as this banquet or this feast, which I believe you can rightfully interpret it as that, as a banquet or feast. However, in the context of this verse and in the context of what David is going through, as we are going to see later as we read in 2 Samuel, you realize that it's not necessarily the idea of feasting, though that's the idea number one, which I'm going to talk about, but there's something else that is talking about that we will also delve into. But as we start this, I want to go to Psalm 91, because this is it's going to give us some of what I want to talk about here. He that dwells in the secret place, this is verse 1, of the Most High, shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So again here he brings this under the shadow. And in our Western mindsets, we sometimes read over these things and don't grasp the idea that they're bringing out. But for them, in their Middle Eastern culture, there was at that time, even now, but there was especially at that time, this idea of being or coming under the shadow of another person. So for example, a king, it was you would say that we are under the shadow of our king. Or if you were a visitor or a traveler, if you are a traveler and you were tired and you came to this place, maybe it's getting dark and you came to this place and there's a home there and there's a person there, and you came in and this person, and you subjected yourself to them, you requested for accommodation or for help to spend the night, and this person received you, welcomed you into their house. You came under their shadow. That's how they spoke, that you came under the shadow of that person. Or if you are fleeing, and you see this several times in the Old Testament, if you are fleeing from pursuers, maybe raiders, maybe you are in a war and there are people pursuing you that want to kill you, and you are fleeing from them, and you ran into this home, and the people in this home received you. You came under their shadow. They spoke of you coming under their shadow, which meant that you came under their protection by covenant. If you were a traveler and you came to this person's home at night, or in the evening, or in a storm, and you requested for refuge or for shelter, for accommodation, if this person took you in, you came under their shadow, which means that you came under their protection, which also means that you came under their provision. And it means the moment that they accept you in their house, the moment that they say, come in, they have entered the covenant with you in that moment. Psalm 23 is about a covenant. It's this covenant relationship between the shepherd and his sheep. You entered, that person covenanted with you to protect you from that storm, to protect you from the terrors of the night, to protect you from hunger, to feed you, to take care of you, to watch over you for the rest of the night until the day broke and you were free to go. If you were fleeing from pursuers and this person opened their house and said, come in here, come hide here, they covenanted. In that moment, you entered into a love covenant to protect you from your pursuers. It was now this person's responsibility to make sure that you are safe from these pursuers, and they would do whatever they needed to do, whether that meant taking you to their well and opening the well and you lowering you into the well and then covering the well with clothes or something so that your pursuers don't find you, whether that meant taking you to the roof and hiding you away, whether that meant putting you in a basket and lowering you by the wall, through a window by the wall, whatever that looked like, it became their covenant duty and responsibility to protect you and to preserve your life. Why? Because now you are covenanted to them, because now you are under their shadow, because now you are their responsibility. If you came to this person for accommodation for at night or in the evening and you needed somewhere, and they opened their house to you, you came into their house, they covenanted in that moment that for the rest of the night they were going to be your protection. You have come under their shadow. You have come under their protection. But not only that, you have also come under their provision. You have come under their ability to provide. So when you came in their house, it was their responsibility by covenant. It was their responsibility now to lay a table, and to serve you a meal, a warm meal, a sumptuous meal. Even if it's the only food they had in their house, it was now their responsibility to feed you and to feed you well. It was their responsibility to lay for you wine to drink, to lay for you butter to eat, to lay for you honey, to lay for you meat, to lay for you cakes and raisins and grapes and all of this beautiful fruit. It was now their responsibility to take care of you. It was their responsibility to give you a bed to sleep in. If that required them leaving their bed and sleeping on the floor, they would leave their bed and they would surrender. If they only had one bed, they would surrender that bed to you because you are their guest, because you are now under their shadow, because you are now under their care, and they are obligated by covenant to give you the best quality of care they can. If that means leaving their bed, they will leave their bed for you to sleep on. They will feed you with their very best food. And if you are injured or if you had an injury of some sort, they would then take the anointing oil, the balm, and rub it upon your wound and take care of you and treat your wounds and treat your sores.